friends, this is Sketch Dirt, and I'm Marla. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're drawing letters X, Y, and Z. Okay, so to get started, I'm using pencils HB, 2B, and 4B. And the measurements for each of the letters here, the squares that I've kind of drawn out before I get started, those are all going to be in the description box below. So you can refer to those at any point when we're watching the video here for reference. And so to get started, I'm just taking my HB pencil and I'm just roughly sketching in all the letters. I'm just basically getting the placement in, and I'm not really worrying too much about making it perfect because I'm going to go through and erase, and then I'm going to start putting all the really definite lines and the shading in with my 2B pencil as I go through here. So at this point, I just want to get the placement. And this video is the last video in the series. I've really loved doing this. I'm going to be using a few different techniques in this video than I've used in the other videos, just based on how the letters are. This ampersand is such a good example because, as you can see when I'm drawing this out here, it doesn't really fit within the square in a really perfect way. It's kind of off center, it's in the middle, but it's not. And so I really kind of just had to feel it out where I wanted this placement to be and how I wanted the shape to be. This was actually, it was a little bit difficult to draw, but I feel like it's so important to get this in here because when you're actually drawing, if you have words or if you have a poster or an art piece or whatever it is you're drawing, you're most likely going to want to know how to draw that too in relation to the way all the other letters are. And so I wanted to put this in here for that extra bit of information instead of just the 26 letters. Okay, so I'm going through and I'm erasing everything, and as you can see, I'm just getting all the lines out here and just leaving in like a few strokes of the HB pencil for where I want the letters to be and how I want them to look. Now in this video, different than other videos, I did not start drawing the inner lines of the letters, and there's a reason for that. For these last letters, for some reason, it just is easier to leave them until after everything is erased out. They're very, like, the letters are very symmetrical, but they're not. And so it was just easier to start adding everything in once I was putting in the definite lines with my 2B pencil. And also now, since I've gotten through all the other letters, I kind of have a sense of where I want those lines to be, as opposed to when I was doing the first few letters and I was just trying to kind of see where I wanted everything to go. I wanted to make sure that I would be able to apply it across the entire alphabet. If I decided to put lines in a certain place, I wanted to make sure it would work across all the letters. For this ampersand, you'll see that, like, I have to, basically what I do for that middle line is I basically start at the bottom and I just sort of swoop it around the entire letter. Again, it was a little more difficult because it just doesn't follow necessarily what all the other letters do. It doesn't even really follow like what the S does, although I can use that information and apply it to this letter. And if you're drawing, or this and sign, if you're drawing things like the question mark, exclamation point, a hashtag, any of those things, you would just follow these same principles as I'm doing for all the letters and then this and sign. So I'm going to get the letter Z in here. I'm going to get that all, the outline of it, and then the inner portions, and then I'm going to go through and start shading everything. Again, still with the 2B pencil. And as you can see here, I'm using like a tissue paper. I'm left-handed, and this just helps make sure that the pencil, the graphite, doesn't smear all over the page. I think when you're left-handed, it's pretty tough not to do that, because basically, like, as soon as you draw something, as soon as you move over to the right, your hand is smearing all over it. So a tissue paper, a Kleenex, a paper towel, even another piece of paper is definitely helpful. It's just that, like, a tissue paper works really well because you can see underneath it still, but any one of those things will work. So I'm going through here and I'm shading. My shading strategy for these is to have the lightest color, the white, come in from the right side, the medium color come in from the left side and the top, and then the darkest portion be at the bottom. And I've explained this in the other videos, but if this is the first video you're watching, basically this strategy was to make it so that it was really simple but high impact. If you wanted to use more shades, if you wanted to make it more detailed, you definitely could do that. But I wanted the effect, like the 3D faceted effect, to be very very quick and very easy to do. And so if you'll see here, what I'm doing for this ampersand is I've got the left side and then the inner left side of the inner portion, and then the right sides are staying white. I'm doing this bottom portion in the darkest shade, and then I'm going to go through and apply those same principles to the rest of this and sign. It's a little difficult. Sometimes it's a little difficult to figure out where everything will go, but if you kind of have a system, it's easier to figure out how you want it to look so it'll look like the rest of the letters. Now, another way you can do this is you don't have to follow any system. You can kind of just do it however you want. It can all be just different colors as opposed to different shading. If you're painting this, if you have this on the computer, you can apply anything you want for like what you're doing that you feel looks best. I just wanted to, for my pieces, I wanted to have a very dimensional look, and I wanted to use just a few shades to do that. So I'm getting the D in here. I'm getting this last letter. Surprisingly, this is not necessarily like the letter N, because I did put the points at the top and the bottom of this, and with the N, I kind of at the sides of this and on the letter N, I kind of squared those off, and I just felt like that little difference made it look more like the letter it's supposed to be. Now, when you're drawing, if you decided the Z actually had squared off corners like the letter N, I think that would still look great. It's just, I felt like it just more looked like the letter Z, and it looked more in line with these last few letters here. So I'm getting this last bit of shading in, and when I'm doing this shading, I'm just taking my time. I'm making sure it's super even. If you had a technique where it was supposed to look really scribbled and chunky, that would also look great, but to get kind of a smooth, even tone, just take your time and just kind of slowly go through and shade it all in. This whole drawing took me about 45 minutes. Most of it is like shading and just sketching out the letters. It takes a little bit of time. So have fun with it. Practice, have fun with it. Get it the way you want it. So I'm taking my 4B pencil now, and I'm putting in the last outline. And you wouldn't have to do this. I think you could leave it the way it was, but I think putting in another shade makes it, again, more impactful, and it makes the letters stand out more. And so I definitely wanted to add that for my piece. And what I'm doing is I'm just outlining it and then shading that darkest bottom portion again, so that way that really stands out. And I'm just, again, taking my time with this too, because this is surprisingly a little difficult. Like once you have your piece all the way done and you just have to put that last outline in, sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. Sometimes that's where the most pressure is, because like you've done all this work and this last part kind of makes it or breaks it. And so again, think this out too. If you're tired, rest your hands, take a walk, or just shake out your hands and walk around a bit, get a drink of water, or even leave it till the next day so you can start fresh. I think that's so important, so that way your drawings turn out the way you want them to turn out. And that's about it. This is the end of the series. This has been so fun. I love doing these. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, comment in the comments section, and let me know what you'd like to see me draw. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sketch Dirt, and I'm Marla. Bye!